we got another. I mean, this week is full of just huge games. This next game here, the Steelers having a vintage Mike Tomlin season of just smash mouth, hard nosed defense, grinding out the games, doing what they have to do on offense against a very similar team in the Eagles, and that they do what they have to do on defense, run the ball with Saquon Barkley. And another common thread between them is they got two insane red zone target wide receivers and A.J. Brown and George Pickens at the same time. So there are a lot of similarities between these two teams. Steelers at Eagles, huge game here. I think with the way that if you're going quarterback and coach in terms of the matchup, I'm going to take the Steelers just based on the fact that I think the way Russell Wilson's been playing this year, the coach that Mike Tomlin is. I would go Steelers, but you got to consider the other factors as well. This game is in Philadelphia. Saquon Barkley has been running the ball as well as anybody. If they choose to lean on him in this game, run behind Jordan Mailata, and just absolutely wear down this Steelers defense as best they can, I think that the Eagles will probably win this game. Well, what are your thoughts on this, Mike?
My thoughts are
on Steelers Eagles. Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's an obvious coach advantage. Philadelphia's playing at home. I mean, there's questions because we've seen it all week with A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts. Like, what is going on here? Right. Why am I not the guy getting the targets?
I mean, Devontae Smith has been.
He has, and this has been through a winning streak. Like, keep in mind,
right
here, what it comes down to. I mean, you have a surging running back with a great offensive line in front of him against a defensive line that is able to put the hurt on anybody.
Such an intriguing game.
It is. I mean, I'm trying to just go off the fucking base. I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles. I think in terms of if you look at the quarterback, there has been so many questions about Jalen Hurts in this offense this year, as if is he the guy? Is it he just has? It's going to come down to this. You have a great defensive front going up against Saquon Barkley. If he is able to hit Grant Calcaterra and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I think, nope. I'm changing it. Steelers. Give me the Steelers. No, because that's where the advantage is. That's where the advantage is. They have had so many improvements on the secondary. The defensive line is playing out of their mind. You still have a healthy Cam Hayward. T.J. Watt is playing out of his mind. Hightower is playing great. The Eagles' offensive line is good, but it's not what it was. There are still but it's so hard. Give me the Steelers.
I think the Steelers don't match up well against this Eagles team.
On offense, and I agree with you. So
that was gonna be my take. That was gonna be my take. My and what I really like in this
offense is a weakness for them.
Right. What I really like in this game, especially if you can get the number, right now it's at 43.5. I've seen some 44s floating out there. I love the under in this game. I think Philadelphia's defense has quietly played really, really well this year. I think they finally kind of latched on to the Vic Fangio scheme. And I don't love Howie Roseman because I think he's cocky, but I think he did a great job addressing the deficiencies that the Eagles had on defense last year. Addressed the secondary, and that defense has quietly been playing really well. And if any team is going to shut down Saquon Barkley, I think the Steelers are the team to do it. And you guys touched on it with the lack of passing attack for the Eagles. Look, I don't know if this is the week where that gets corrected, in my opinion. And I think the total says that. I mean, you're talking about 43.5, 44 total. I
mean,
I really like the under in this game. I think it's going to be close. I don't know if I can really get to either side for the reasons you guys mentioned. I mean, it could really go either way depending on certain factors. But I do think that both defenses will have success.
Turtle, what you went off there. I like the Steelers for 1 point because the Steelers have gotten 12 yards off of pass interference calls. 12 yards for the entire year. So I think you have a guy like Joey Porter Jr. Like their secondary is going to be able to hold down these guys. Possibly. I mean, that's what the question is.
I just think it's both defensive coordinators, if you want to include Tomlin in that regard, and then Vic Fangio versus Arthur Smith. I mean, I just think both defenses are gonna have success.
But here's my thing.
Yeah,
one reason that I'm struggling with this game, because I so badly want to take the Eagles, right? But when you have a unique dynamic on a team that is playing for a 1 seed, so I hope this really isn't because I am rooting for the Eagles somewhat this season, as I want them to be able to knock off the Lions if it comes down to it, and a huge part of that could be them having the 1 seed. They're able to swing it in the playoffs. But here's my big issue with this, is you have on a 10-win team, the star wide receiver who just got paid is complaining about not getting the ball. When the team is winning, you have a star player who's controlling the game in Saquon Barkley, who is getting you wins. It's not like George Pickens is playing in a contract year, but he's saying, not quietly, that he needs the ball. Jalen Hurts is going to have to throw him the ball. I mean, I'm expecting, 10-plus targets in this game.
Yeah, I love AJ Brown overs this week.
yeah, I would definitely take AJ Brown overs this week because I think they're going to be forcing it to him. I think that's how they're going to handle this. I think Jalen Hurts, knows what he has to do, but I think that could be, I think it's a winning strategy if you can get the ball in AJ Brown's hands. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, if you're going up against Mike Tomlin's defense, and he's going to be ready for that. If a guy like me is ready, knows what's going on, Mike Tomlin does too. He's going to be ready to game plan for it. And so, and once again, it's a tough place to go into to play in Philly. Russell Wilson, you can laugh at the guy all you want. I'll take him in terms of playoff experience now that Brady's out over almost any quarterback in football, just in terms of having been in these big game situations, must-win situations. Part of me wants to take the Steelers in this one now, thinking about it, even though it's an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it's super intriguing.
As you said it, there are 2 words that define this game that will make the difference. Mike Tomlin. And it's true. I think you have a better coach team. You have a team that is ready to go into every situation where they are, the Steelers are going to win this. They're underdogs. They're favorites. This is a better coach team that has more buy-in from I mean, we saw what happened. What's going on with AJ Brown? This is a more focused team that knows they can win this division. If you go macro, go with the Steelers. I really think. I mean, Russ has reinvented himself in this offense. We have seen a resurgence from Najee Harris. We have seen Jalen Warren playing great. We have seen an offensive line playing great. George Pickens is now talked again as not like a bust. And the defense, Mike Tomlin coaches the fucking defense. Like
I mean, George
it,
Pickens might be the
George
best
Pickens
pure
might
red zone
be
threat in the NFL
out.
right now.
George Pickens
before we
might
get
be out.
ahead, he might be out. I think he's got a grade 2 hamstring strain. I don't. That sounds like he's probably not going to play. I want to get that out there before
Yeah.
we continue. But
Mike,
So that
before
might
we
be-
I will say
continue
this.
glazing George Pickens
Yeah,
I will
for,
say
as
this.
a reason to win this game.
all I'm saying is if you put black and white and not in that sense, but like of Sirianni versus Mike Tomlin,
Okay.
Let me say this. I've got a good point on Mike Tomlin, and it holds a lot of water here. So Mike Tomlin as an underdog, this is absurd actually. Mike Tomlin as an underdog is 41, 23, and 2 against the spread. As a road underdog, he's 29, 19, and 1 against the spread, and 23 and 26 straight up as a road underdog.
Yeah, how many of those came against the Browns? Probably like 4.
Well, he's probably never a road underdog
He's
or
never a road
underdog in general
underdog.
against the Browns. So probably 0 for me.
That's what I said 4.
Just didn't apply.
Yeah. So I mean, from that standpoint, just one more touch on this game as well. Like with all the stuff about AJ Brown and all this stuff coming out of the Eagles locker room, like I feel like these rumors kind of got put to bed because the Eagles have been winning. But are we still on the Nick Sirianni as a clown train? I mean,
No,
I have
no.
never jumped off. I've never
Nope.
jumped off.
Nope,
You don't think
no.
he's a clown, Mike?
I think he is. Mike, what? Mike, you were
Mike,
the guy who coined human meat shields in terms of the just Nick Sirianni constantly throwing others under the bus to shirk responsibility for the disappointment.
But I mean, have you seen? Here's where it is. Here's where it is. I think you know where the meat shield is now on the offensive side of the ball. He's not. He will take the deflections.
Sirianni's an offensive coach. I mean,
he's an offensive coach.
Do you think this is on Kellen Moore? The struggles here. Do you think that?
Yes,
and not on the limitations of Jalen Hurts?
No, it's not.
I mean,
you would be going out of your way to pass the ball more.
So
have Saquon Barkley?
I think there's problems with your physical quarterback. But there's problems with him. He hasn't run like he used to. You remember the knee injury. AJ Brown has not been able to be as effective as he used to. But you're Nick Sirianni. You don't have control over the offense or defense. This is what I'm telling you.
We can't absolve him. No, absolutely not, Mike. I'm stopping you there. We can't absolve Nick Sirianni because he's the head coach. He's the freaking head coach of the team.
And they're 10 and what, 2, 3?
Again, that's why we haven't heard a lot about him. But
I do think we gotta wait. We gotta wait and see what happens in the playoffs to really make a judgment on this.
Wait until
one of the most talented
playoffs.
teams in the NFL.
Exactly. It was a take. He has offensive and defensive meat shields. One guy, but you bring in Kellen Moore, yes, it's different. It was different. It was very different last year compared to what they have now. All I'm saying is, you get an injury. Does he get deflected off Nick Sirianni of play calling? No, he has no play calling, dude.
Well,
and should it fall on Kellen Moore? No.
I mean, the way you talk about it,
is all I'm saying.
This is my argument. Let me get this in real quick. So Nick Sirianni is not in charge of the offense. Kellen Moore is in charge of the offense. Vic Fangio is in charge of the defense. So what exactly is Nick Sirianni in charge of? leading his team and controlling the locker
Chirping.
room, I would imagine. Doesn't seem like he's doing a great job of doing that. That's for sure. That's all I'll
That's
say.
a good point. Yeah,
Because-
no, and I think
Because Mike, if what you're saying is it's Kellen Moore's fault or the quarterback's fault,
No. I'm saying no. What I'm saying is Nick Sirianni hires the guys to call the defensive play calling, call the offensive play calling, in that the meat
right,
shields,
so what's
right.
Sirianni in charge?
where he's like, oh,
Even-
if you can place blame, this was going into this year. I'm saying, yes, if it all falls apart, fire him. I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm saying what the setup was last year when we did this at the beginning of the year was where it's at. That was what his setup was
It's
because
such a
the
unique
offensive coordinator
situation.
got fired.
Yeah,
which was the
he's
coordinator
able
he
to
hired. He's kind
surround
of turning into
himself.
Eberflus in
Mhm.
a way. He's kind of
Well,
he's kind of turning
that's,
into
okay,
Eberflus.
that's what I'm getting around to saying.
Exactly.
This is what I'm getting around to saying is that he's got maybe the best gig in the NFL in terms of having just talent across the roster, a GM that is constantly taking risks just to add talent to the team as it stands. Leaving no stone unturned in terms of trying to improve that team, improve the depth of the roster. I love what Howie Roseman's been able to do just overall with that, just with the entire roster. And then you've got the coaches that he hires, the coordinators, which have been, since he started, high-profile guys that have a lot of credibility to where he's entrusted with, okay, Sirianni's not doing anything, but he's trusting Vic Fangio with the defensive play calling. He's trusting a guy like Kellen Moore with offensive play calling. Both of those guys have been considered for head coaching positions throughout their entire careers. So, they have the credibility there. All he has to do is win, which in 2022, he got very close to winning it all. And it was, a great season for the Eagles. But aside from that, there have been a lot of question marks about his ability to actually finish with his team and keep his locker room together, which is going to be crucial if you're going to make a playoff push like this. Think about this, man. You're a 10-2 team. You should be focusing on putting all your chips in, going for the 1 seed. That should be your primary sole focus. But you can't control the locker room with A.J. Brown spouting off. And why does he feel like he can do that? Why does Brandon Graham feel like he can go on a radio show and talk about these guys freely? Because his head coach isn't worried about play calling, isn't worried about defensive play calling.
Yeah, I'm with you, Pat.
His primary focus isn't on winning.
Because of the play that you have been getting at quarterback.
This is a guy Sirianni who's
Yeah, I mean, am I crazy? Am I crazy?
I think this guy's priorities. I think Nick Sirianni's priorities are absolutely shot, and I think he hit lightning in a bottle with Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon as coordinators. He hired some new coordinators last year, Brian Johnson being one of them. Both those guys are gone. You hired some I think good hires. I think Vic Fangio is a great football coach.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly think
Great
he'd be a better
defensive
head coach.
coordinator.
Vic Fangio is literally the only, and I want you to, the only good coordinator that the Bears have had since Lovie Smith has left, since Brian Urlacher won that team.
Yeah,
Vic
I think
Fangio
Vic
is
Fangio
legitimately the only
coach.
good coordinator that the Bears have ever had. So I will always have a near and dear spot in my heart.
And then he coached the Broncos after you guys.
Right. Yes.
That team had some all right years. I mean, I not everybody's meant to be a head coach, but I would take Vic Fangio as my head coach over Nick Sirianni. I would. I don't think that this team doesn't have the discipline, I think, for when February comes around. If you got guys, and that's the thing that's annoying, and we talk about it all the time about if your head coach side of the ball, their specialty is struggling, it's an immediate red flag. Nick Sirianni, and technically he's an offensive coach. He's the quarterback's coach for the Colts, but he doesn't have a specialty on. He doesn't have a specialty on this team. His specialty is to lead this team, right? His specialty is to lead this team and be the CEO and keep guys in line. And quite frankly, he does a terrible job of that. And he
and bring the energy. Bring the energy to a talented.
Okay, can we? What is Kellen Moore doing? What
calling the plays?
He's calling.
I know he's
calling Saquon Barkley to what could be a record-breaking season this year.
But I know, no, he has. But you have literally. I know. There's nothing bad about the Eagles right now. Nothing bad, but you have a mutiny of A.J. Brown saying, what the fuck is going on?
That doesn't reflect on Kellen Moore. That reflects on Nick Sirianni and his inability to manage.
You think it does? You think it does?
I think so.
Yes.
I think so. That's Nick. Yeah, he's the head coach.
There's no play calling duties.
What's Kellen Moore? Is Kellen Moore supposed to be able to control A.J. Brown, but Nick Sirianni can't?
What players say to the media is not on the offensive coordinator. What players say to the media is on the head coach, in my opinion. It's not on Kellen Moore.
Here's the thing. Here's the crazy part is we're talking about
Greg Calcaterra anytime touchdown.
After this entire, we sound like a Philly radio show right now. If anybody listens from Philly, they're gonna be like, "This is."
They are kind of my team for the rest of the season with how I can't have Detroit actually make any noise and make it to the Super Bowl. So
in any case, I think this argument, God bless Mike. Yeah, you know what? Actually, their opposite opponent this week is a great example of a head coach able to control the locker room. Because that guy, Mike Tomlin, had freaking Antonio Brown. You didn't hear a peep from him for years.
That's kind of a great. I think Sirianni is almost the anti-Tomlin.
He's the anti-Tomlin. He's the anti-Tomlin.
Can you imagine if Sirianni was in charge of those Steelers teams? With
Also,
Ben Le'Veon Bell. God.
With Ben Roethlisberger on his radio show.
For the viewers, I went to a Antonio Brown concert back in Tallahassee. Insane. He threw condoms into the stands. He's into the stands, into the pit.
What a night!
He's a crazy guy.
And a great musician. Just a quality musician.
I love Mike.
Sure.
I love Mike Tomlin. I love the Steelers. I think I'm taking the Steelers plus.
Yeah, I think after all this, I'm taking the Steelers.
Yeah. Steelers and under. I love it.
And okay, I will disclose to you guys. I have $150 bet to win $4,600 on the Steelers to win the Super Bowl.
On the Steelers?
Yep.
That's a choice from a Browns fan too. Wow.
Yeah.
He's worried about his pocketbooks. Bet your pocketbook and not your heart.
I'm not. Hey, I'm just saying. We just witnessed Jameis Winston beat that, and your Browns beat the Steelers. So
I mean, they want to
for sure, but
I bet that like in October. So
okay. I mean, so wait, before Russ was cooking, did you?
Yeah,
was that with the belief that Justin Fields?
Yep.
Wow, that would have.
I think
I would stop watching football as a Bears fan if the Bears had this season and then Justin Fields were able to lead the Steelers to a Super Bowl. I have no idea what I would do.